Hey, what's up, guys? This is T-Bone here, and welcome to our Tuesday stream. It is a new season, and so we are starting a new season. That means it's a water event, and it's going to be a water commander event. So we're going to take a look and see about the cards. So it is also an Arcane Killer deck, which works really well with the previous the Water Slayer deck that we have from this past season. So it is a really good deck to use, and I'm hoping I can use it for this event also. So we're gonna take a look at the the event cards. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna see if there's any other updates that we might need to pay attention to. And so, seeing some people in the chat right now, just saying hello to everybody, welcome, and hope you have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you might be. Different people at different time zones. And so, one thing I also wanted to mention, excuse me, just really quickly, one thing I'm thinking about doing is, you notice I have more gems this time, and so once per season, I was kind of thinking I'm gonna try this experiment, where once per season I'm gonna limit myself to buying gems at the beginning of the season, and see how long that carries me. And so hopefully this means that I will be able to get my teams earlier in the season, and then with saved up coins, etc., I'll be able to then use that near the end of the season. The goal here is to get more of the ultimate forms, more of the teams, so that I could try and showcase them a little bit more often. But having said that, I'm going to try and be a little bit smarter about my gem spend as well. For example, like if I've gone to tier 4 and I haven't gotten anything by that point, it may not be worth using 5,000 gems to go to tier 5. I might just, go for a couple of the side packs so that we can save some gems. We'll see. Okay, and so anyways, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of information there on like what I'm trying to do starting with this season. So we'll see how it works. We'll see how it works throughout. It could also be like a little bit of an experiment just to see how much, how far this actually carries me. All right, so let's take a look at the cards. Like I said, this is a water arcane card. So like right off the bat, some of the things that we're thinking about is, can it pair well with the Jailer's deck? Can it pair well with the previous Water Slayer deck? And can it pair well with any other deck, really? Like, you saw that the previous season, all the decks worked really well with each other. And so let's take a look and see if the same can be said today, in this week's or this season's cards. We're going to actually kick it off with the fourth card from the boys event. So next event is going to be the last one of the boys event. This is the fourth one. So this is going to be the Deep. And this is going to be an event card that I think, if they haven't changed it, is still going to be available on tier 4. And so this one creates 4 power gem 3s. And then if there are 16 or more water gems on the board, it'll increase its own damage by 60% for one turn. So this actually feels very generic based on like what we've seen before. And compared to some of the previous cards that we've seen, this one actually kind of pales in comparison in terms of the damage, right? It is a 13 times, so I would expect it to be tier 4. But as a card on its own, like, it's nowhere near as good as, for example, the Black Noir from previous event. So this one doesn't seem to be all that great. Right? For a tier 4 card, I would have liked it to be a little bit better. But if you take a look at the rest of the deck, I think kind of makes sense why that card is like that. So Colin William D, the cost of tier 5,000 gems buys you 4 tiers for the next event. Yeah, so exactly. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm trying to also be smart with my gems. Just because I have them doesn't mean I should be spending all of them. But my hope is I can get a little bit better chances of getting the teams, right? So let's take a look, and we'll go ahead and open up some tiers here. So we got Uprising Coven. So these are all vampires, and they kind of have that overall like an underworld vibe to them, from the movie with Kate Beckinsale. Anyways, so very kind of like modern vampire, like if they were gangsters and whatnot, like how they would dress and how they would look. Well, I guess it wouldn't be gangsters. They would be more like that coven, right? Like they say here. All right. So, anyways, the battle skill for this ultimate form is increases its own damage. So it doesn't increase the damage for the whole team. Like, we haven't seen that in a while now. So it's all about self damage for 200%. And again, this is damage increase, not attack increase. So whatever the damage, it's essentially the same as like when you say like 3 times damage from a allied bonus. This is the same thing. So you're actually taking whatever damage and multiplying it by 200. So you multiply by 3 really, because it's not just an increase by 100%. It's its own damage plus another 200% of the damage. So it is a significant bump. Lasts for 2 turns, and it creates 6 power gem 5s. Okay, and it also gives a nuke of 5,000% recovery based on its own recovery, and it also heals. So the thing that kind of interests me is that the nuke here for 5,000% recovery doesn't seem like it would be a whole lot. So I'm not sure what the intent is for this particular part of the battle skill, and I couldn't find anything, any cards that exist today that will boost the recovery or increase the recovery of the heroes for water cards. There's one for fire, but I haven't seen one for water. So if you know of any card, let me know so we can see if we can boost it better. Okay. It also cleanses 1 debuff, and that includes something like blind, chaos, flatline. These are all debuff, and gem silence, power gem silence. These are all debuffs. And you can also dispel a particular buff. So like might, dodge, those examples. So we're seeing more and more of cards that can do this. The last one that does this was also the last Earth Commander deck that did that. Or the Earth Slayer deck, Reaping Royalty did that. 3-turn cooldown, so it's not too bad considering that you have a increased damage for 2 turns and then 1 turn with no increase. And then you have your battle skill again. The passive ability is that whenever you attack, you create 4 water power gem 4s. This is going to feel so much weaker compared to I forget the exact name, but Afterlife Alliance. The light commander deck where like every time you attack, you create at least 5, and if you activate a battle skill, you create 10 for 3 turns straight. So that one was a lot more powerful. This one's going to feel weak in comparison, but it's very similar mechanic. Okay. It has another passive ability here that says Unstoppable, and this hero cannot be silenced. And that one's going to be interesting, so we're going to try this out. So whether it's like you cannot gem silence, you cannot power gem silence, anything that causes the battle skills to basically be silenced looks like you can't do anymore. So they're not very clear on exactly what the silence means. It could simply just be those 2 because they actually have the name silence in the debuff, but I'm sure there's more. So let's see. This is the Master Collection card. So Katana Master Mountaineer. This one creates 4 power gem 4s. It also does the nuke damage, and this one specifically says it ignores armor and affinity. So what this means is before, if you were to attack, let's say this water card, if you attack like an earth card, for example, the idea is that the damage is going to be decreased. But this one, the nuke damage will actually be not affected at all. So whatever that amount is going to be, that's how much you'll deal regardless of affinity. So I'm not sure if the ultimate form gets that as well, but this one it's important to call it out. I don't think it's going to be too significant, but it is important to understand what it means to ignore armor and to be cross affinity. It also heals, right? And 3-turn cooldown, and this one will create 4 power gem 5s whenever it attacks. So Master Collection card now creates power gem 5s. This is a change from before. And let's see. So the ultra rare card is going to be Blood Blessed Brawler, or Blood Blessed Brawler. And the battle skill increases its own damage. So this is the other half of the ultimate form. It increases the damage by 200%, creates 6 power gem 5s, and it cleanses the buff from all of the commander teams, and then it dispels 1 buff. It also cannot be silenced. So this hero, if you get hit by gem silence, it will still create power gem. So it is actually a pretty powerful skill, because you can use this card or the ultimate form card to dispel all of the debuffs from your water commander while still creating power gems. So you cannot silence it. The Master Collection card can be silenced. All right, and so that is the main difference here. So I think that as far as this ability goes, this is the first time we're seeing this, and I think that this passive is going to be the OP passive, but not necessarily for this team. Like, this team isn't necessarily going to be overpowered, but I feel like this particular passive ability is something that if we see more often, depending on the team that you go up with, it is going to be quite impressive, I think. So that passive ability is definitely one to watch out for. Then we have the event card Ganzen, the Shadow Stepper. This is another event card, so it creates 3 power gem 4s, and then this nukes for 3000. It'll ignore army and affinity, and then also creates power gem force whenever it attacks. So I guess if you have the Master Collection card and the ultimate form, you're still going to, I guess, create a total of 8 power gems, right? Master Collection card creates 4, ultimate form creates 4, and yeah, so you're going to create 8 power gems every time you attack. But then when you activate the battle skills, you're going to create 6. So like activation wise, you're going to get 6 from ultra rare and 4 from Master Collection cards, so that's 10, and then 6 from ultimate form, so 16 power gems. It's less than half of the board. If you have just ultimate form, ultra rare card, and Master Collection card, the number of power gems that they can create by the battle skills, and it's going to be less than half the board. So you're going to have to save the gems that you create passively by attacking, and so that's why it's going to feel a little bit weaker, because you're going to have a hard time overriding the board for upgrading your power gems. And that's why I kind of feel like it's just going to feel weak. And I don't, and this is Arcane, so you do get you can get pretty nice boost from there, but if you can't get the power gems to be upgraded to like 20s or something, then I don't think you're necessarily going to get the biggest damage output. At least this is just initial feeling, right? Have to test it out in order to know for sure, but so far I feel like if you have the previous Water Slayer deck, I think you're going to shine with that. If you can throw that in there and then put a couple of Water Commander in there, you can still get some pretty good damage there. Anyway, this is the last card, support card, Molten Undying Bruiser. It creates 10 water gems, and it increases the max health by 10%. Now, I don't know if I think this will increase the health of the team. I don't know. I think it's the team. I don't think it's just by itself. And so having a couple of support cards in here will increase your overall health, which is going to be helpful in terms of survivability. All right, so we're going to take a look at the cards now. Let's go ahead and open up a tier. So I think for the sake of being smart about it, I'm going to go at least tier 4. Probably not higher if I don't get anything by tier 4. And then we'll see what happens in the next couple of days with the side packs. So it's going to be my goal. My strategy is going to be tier 4 for the event, side packs, and then save as much gems as I can throughout the event so that I can have enough to last me throughout the event, this season. And we'll see how many ultimate forms we can collect from this. So new Emui that doesn't have Gem Silence or Power Gem Silence, but it does have Weaken. That's right. So I think there's Trader, Weaken, and I forgot one more. Trader, Weaken, and the last one is something I can't remember. We'll go back and take a look. But the main difference here, one thing that is different than previous events, the ultimate form has the same dispel as the support card. So no longer is the support card the only one that contains the unique dispel. You're going to get that from the ultimate form as well. Time to dust off the old Water Arcane. So the other Arcane deck is the other Pirate deck. We'll take a look at that as well as an option. All right, so 2 tiers so far, and we've got nothing but the guaranteed. I did get another copy of Josephine Quick Draw, so that's one of the collection cards. This card is good. Like, it's a really good card on its own. It's just that in the new meta, they've really significantly made those cards like less and less relevant, which is unfortunate. But I'm happy to have gotten her. I think that it's a good card to have. So I can try. I'll try and find a way to incorporate her in a deck as well. So counterattack is the third one. Thank you very much. All right, so we've got the main event relic. This is another guaranteed gold card. Okay, so that's the Blood Drinking Rapier. And let's see if we can get another something. I guess between the two, I'd probably rather the ultra rare card because that's the one that has the unstoppable skill. I got another gold card, and this time it's the rare event relic. I'm not sure if that was guaranteed, but gold card and a relic, it kind of hurts. I hope I get one, right? So tier 4, let's keep my fingers crossed here. Hope I get something here. So at least I can show it. I want to at least show that skill, right? Unstoppable. I want to know what it's like. But I have at least I have an ultimate relic here. So we're gonna go 4 tiers. This is gonna be the final tier here. So that's like, close to 6,000 gems right there, and hopefully, you know, depending on my placement, I can earn back a couple thousand here. So like, you know, we should be able to last here. All right, we start out with a gold card, and that is going to be the event relic. And we get keys, and then we get the event card. This is Ganzen the Shadow Stepper. I think that's going to be it. I think that's going to be it too. And that's going to be a second Ganzen, which is not necessarily something that I will use. And that's it. 4 tiers of nothing. Sorry guys, can't show you how the team works. I really tried, but I refuse to go a tier further at this point just because it's just a waste of gems at this point. Like, it'll be like a repeat from the last... It'll be like the last event where I spent the 5,000 gems to go to tier 5 only to pull nothing. I refuse to do that. So, let's go ahead and now take a look at what we've got, okay? So, in terms of the cards themselves, let's see, Water Commander, and we're looking at Arcane. The event card in this case, Ganzen the Shadow Stepper. So this one creates 3 Power Gem 4s, right? It doesn't nuke, and it creates 3 Power Gem 4s whenever you attack. So it's going to help you get the gems on the board, but it's not going to be significant at all in terms of, you know, where the damage is really going to come from, even with boost, right? Even with boost, you're going to not get very good power gem upgrades, right? And if you take a look at the deep, so the deep creates 4 water power gem 3s and it increases its own damage. Like, this card is even worse, in my opinion. It's even worse than the event card. Like, even though it has a 60% damage self increase, I just don't feel like this card is as good. Right, so I'm probably going to fall back to my own setup, but before that, we'll take a look at what the other options are. So Pirate Plunderers is a card that is available in the Proving Ground store, and it is an Arcane Killer commander bonus. So like, we haven't seen this is the first time we've seen a Water Commander Arcane Killer since New Dawn, I suppose. And so if you take a look at the skills, like objectively, this is not too bad. This card will create up to 10 Power Gem 4s. Okay, but you need to have other cards in there in order to go up to 10. Realistically, you're probably going to use this one card. What that means, you're going to create 5 Power Gem 4s. So you're going to create 5 Power Gem 4s, but you can reset it. So if you have a support card from there, or any other or an ultra rare card, you can activate this card twice. So you can basically get up to 10 Power Gem 4s. Or if you save it up, you can get up to 20 power gems. So that is where you're going to be able to take advantage of the power gem spawn. But you know, if you don't have the current event deck, I think this is not too bad, because in terms of the power gem spawning ability, it's very similar. It's just that the new teams, they have power gem 5s, and that's really where the difference is going to be. So we've got some lucky people here that have pulled ultra rare in tier 1 and master collection card in 3rd tier. Yeah, so I mean, I can't really complain about the luck, because I have had pretty good luck in the past. I can't expect it every single event, so it's just kind of fortunate. I wanted the cards in the water events, because I hardly ever get anything, and I always have to sort of go back to pull it, so it's kind of fortunate there. But anyways, let's take a look and see, right? So the question is, well, what can you do? So regardless of what happens, I think what you should really focus on is getting the Arcane Killer in there. So if you have Jailers, it shouldn't be any question. Like, you should definitely add it in. Now, if you have the previous Water Slayer deck, then I think what you should do is you should add it in, just because it will give you that much more of it will give you a lot more boost, especially if you have Jailers. Okay, so something like this, right? Just these 2 cards, like, or you can go with one, but at least one of those cards in here. I would say, you know, for me, here's the thing, right? So like, if you go with the Water Slayer cards and jailers, like that should be sufficient. Just because the delay, the turn delay from those cards should be good enough. Now the problem is going to be your health, right? The problem is going to be like, hey, like if you put too many off affinity cards, you're really going to sort of be low on your health here. So like, the question is, what should you do here? And then the thing here is they've changed. They started changing the ability, like the leadership skill, right? So let's say Lost Kingdom Guardians. What it does now is it will only give you the 600% health boost for all Water Slayer heroes. So now the problem is you don't get the Arcane Killer boost anymore. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to let me take a look here. So if I do Water Arcane Commander, I wonder if this does. So this one will give okay, so it doesn't. There was that period of time when they would give boost for all like Water Arcane Killers. They don't have that anymore, and so the challenge here is going to be the fact that I need something to give me a boost. And so honestly, like I'm actually kind of thinking something to the effect of I could actually use Keta. So Keta will at least give me 300% damage boost and 300% health boost for all water heroes, right? So I can at least do this. So I can still survive a little bit better. Or alternatively, I may just choose to do this. I may just choose to say, you know what, screw this. I'm just gonna go with my Water Slayers, and I'm not gonna worry about this, right? So in that case, I could put in another Slayer card, and I could probably just go all in on the Slayer deck and not bother with the water commander cards. That's just like for me, right? Like just for me, like I'm kind of thinking like, what can I possibly do to make this situation a little bit better? Oops, I did the wrong one, right? So like I could probably do something like that. And then in terms of like the other commander card, it's gonna be boring, but it's probably going to be something like this card. Hey, we've seen this before. So given that I don't have any other good cards in here, I might actually try this just because here's what they've done, right? Here's what they've done to really screw with this whole setup. If you don't have the current event deck, then you can't really build a good off affinity deck. Or if you wanted to take advantage of the Arcane Killer bonus with the previous Water Slayer, then you can't count on it dealing damage. And so one of the things you can do, right? So that's version 1. Another version you could do is to say you're going to go with one card. Okay, so one card, you're going to forego the damage output from that card, which is kind of silly in my opinion. But let's say you go like this, right? And then let's say you wanted to go with the Water Commander with Arcane Killer, and then you go with, I don't know, Pirate Plunders, and let's see, I guess I can go Pirate Plunders and the Ultra Rare card and the Master Collection card, and then I can do the Earth Arcane Killer Commander Jailers. So this will give me 3 cards, and then what this will do is this will give me, but it's not going to give me, it's not going to be able to do enough of the upgrades. I'm just going to end up crushing a lot. And so I guess probably not the Master Collection card. Probably end up something like this would be a little bit better. Or I might even use like a previous commander card. Anything to really, get rid of the whole basically things to help me to the upgrades. It's just kind of harder this way. So if you wanted to go with golems, like I mentioned golems a lot being mentioned here, and we could try and build it, but you're gonna have to look for a water immortal card, and I don't have that, right? So water immortal is one that I'm weak at. I guess I have wave warriors, so I can do wave warriors with golems. So weaken is going to be one of the weaken is probably going to be the one that's going to be on the guild boss. And so the question is, like, wouldn't weaken be an issue? Yeah, the answer is yeah, it will be. Like, Chaos, Weaken, Gem Silence, all of these things, they're all terrible, and it feels like the devs love using these right now because they break our decks that we love to use, right? And so you're always going to have to find a way to dispel it. And so if we look at the cards that we have that dispels it, there are other cards in here. And so like right now, this deck that I just built here, the thing that will break Weaken is it's going to break Jailers. So Jailers is not going to be able to do the increase, and it doesn't dispel Weaken. So we do need a card that will dispel Weaken for us. And so I guess that's a good point, right? So if we wanted to dispel Weaken, what are my options here? If you take a look at the cards in here, I guess I can search for Earth. Right? If there's anything in Earth that there's Sky Swarm Kachina, which doesn't actually help me because this one doesn't. I don't think this one does the delay. Right? This one doesn't do delay. This one will create more power gems whenever I do turn delay. Something like that's an option, and that's it. And then for water. Right? For water, I guess I can always go with some of these cards. So I don't have a card that dispels Weaken from this event deck, it looks like, right? I guess we don't have Weaken from Master Collection card. We only have a Weaken from Master Collection card and from either one of those two. Master Collection card, or is it the Ultra Rare card? I think Counter Attack is from the Master Collection card, and the Ultra Rare card is Weaken, right? Yeah, so Ultra Rare card dispels Weaken, and that's going to be the one that will kill the Jailer's deck. Like, you should probably just expect Weaken to be in every single event from now on because they've figured out how to break the decks that we want to use. Does Define Duet dispel Weaken? I thought I took a look. Oh, it does dispel Weaken. I thought I saw it and didn't show up. In any case, if this so for me, this is really the one that will save me, right? Because counterattack and also Trader is probably going to be it's probably manageable. I think counterattack is going to be a problem, but it depends on which boss we see it on. So anyways, at least Weaken is not going to be as much of a problem. But when we get to Corellium, because of the dispel rate, who knows? But this is at least somewhat viable, right? So I can at least use this a little bit. In terms of other decks, one thing I was mentioning is if you wanted to use Golems, yes, there's gonna be a problem with Weaken, but you can use. If you're going to build a Golem deck, you have to build an Immortal Killer, right? And so I think I saw some people who kind of threw in High Performance Unit Area and they just kind of threw some water cards on there. It's not going to help you if you don't have an Immortal card in your deck at all. So what you need to do is you need to look at your Immortal cards. And if this is the water event, then you need to look for the water Immortal cards and start from there. Otherwise, you're going to end up putting in High Performance Unit Area, and then you're not going to get any buffs, and you're not going to realize, you're not going to know why. So this is the reason. So if we're going to build it, we're going to build with this card. All right, we're going to build it with the Wave Warrior. So and this is also available in the Proving Grounds. Okay, so starting this event, you can also use the Wave Warriors. I mean, not this event. You can look at it in the Proving Grounds. You can also use that. And I think it's also going to be available in the upcoming Drillfist Depot. So upcoming Drillfist Depot will have Wave Warriors. And I think if I were to do that, right, and then you use that to boost the Immortal cards, and then you use this. I guess it doesn't have to be Commander. I mean, you could use Apex Warrior. You can use Apex Predators too, because that could work, right? Because then you could do something like this. You can do water. Because if you use a Slayer, and for me, I like Slayer decks a little bit better, so I could potentially also do something like this. So I can use Apex Predators to boost my water Arcane card. And then from there, what you would do is you would put in this card here, but then you have to, this one you definitely need to have, a dispel for weaken, or your high performance unit area is going to be completely blocked. And so if we do counter skill weaken for dark, not a whole lot of good options either. Yeah, weaken is one of those pain in the butt type spells that, depending on the cards that you're using, it could be just a real, like, it could just be a real problem. It's like, it's not going to be good. Like, I'm going to have to depend on the water cry, I think, to dispel weaken, and it's not a great option. Like, just nothing really great. So, like, I don't know. If you have a card that dispels weaken, which means you're going to have the ultra rare card, that's what you have to put in. It's going to be really hard to get the golem deck working, I think. So let's see. So what about the sharks? If you wanted to use the wave warriors with the sharks, you can, right? So the I forget the name now. So water immortal. So what's nice about the Wave Warriors deck is that these cards also have really good possibilities for creating power gems. It's just that if you want to use golems and you go up against a weakened deck, it's going to shut you down unless you have a way to dispel it. Another arcane card that you can use besides jailers is going to be Hilaria, right? So if we take a look at Circuit Break Hilaria, so you can also use these cards to boost your Arcane Killer card. So you can also use this to boost your Water Commander cards. You need 2 of them to get the 8. You need 8 power gems in order for the boost to take place, right? So you need 8 fire power gems or more. And this one dispels might, so you're not going to be able to use it. But like, if you want to use Hilaria, same thing. You need to take care of weaken, right? So you need to take care of weaken. And if you're going to use this, then you're going to use the Water Arcane cards. And then from here, you could do something like, you could do this, right? You could do something like that, and then use another card in here that dispels weaken. I could probably do like a fire one. That might actually not be a bad idea. So fire, let's say, is there a fire card that dispels weaken? Yeah, there's more. There's more options here. I don't even have like a warden that dispels it for me. Interesting. It's like, I don't know, probably pick one of these cards. Pick a commander card just so that I could get the. I'm not sure if adding another commander is a good idea. No, I think I'll put water. I'll put Water Weaken, and if I were to put Water Weaken, then I'll probably just put the Apex Predators in there so that I can at least get some more power gems, because I would activate the Apex Predators last, because it creates power gems based on the number of gems on the board. And so that's another option. Also, this one is going to require you to survive, though. You're going to have to survive long enough so that you can get the 8 power gems in here. But then with the, with these cards, having the number of power gems that you can create, I think it could be a pretty good one-shot deck. So let's see. So any other comments in there we see there? So Streetcar Frankie. Yeah. So like all the cards that you guys are mentioning here, they all dispel weaken. And so like there's options, but for me it's gonna be a little bit harder because I don't have either of the cards. And so I'm gonna try and open up the daily packs just so I can see how far I can get with that. My hope is I can showcase the team. If not, I guess I'm gonna rely on you guys to tell me how things go. So Katrina McKenzie, you have Empress for weekend. Yeah, so you can also use the Nicole Waveborn Whisper. I don't think the actual, like, if you take a look, right? So Water Empress, so Water Immortal Killer. So Empress, where is she? This card, the Enchanting Empress, will dispel Flatline. So it doesn't dispel weaken. Enchanting Empress does not cleanse weaken. The only card that will dispel it is going to be the Wave Warrior, which is the support card. Okay, and I can't show any Immortal Killer because it is what is a water creature. Commander type creature, I think. No, it's not creature. Gosh, what is it? What type of... I've like, it's been so long, I completely forgotten it now. But anyways, this is the support card, the Ancient Nicole Waveborn Whisper. That is also the collection card this event, and this is the card that will dispel Weekend. But this one isn't going to be as... I mean, yes, you can get this for immunity, right? But you're not going to get the attack boost for immortal cards. Yeah. So Common William Deep, you just checked, and Weekend does not silence the ultra rare skill. So I guess that means you cannot silence it in any way, shape, or form. So I guess that's what Unstoppable means. Like, you're always going to be able to activate the battle skill no matter what. So that is going to be a pretty powerful skill to have. That means you no longer worry about debuffs. Like, it kind of makes me wonder, like, why have them? They introduce a passive ability that makes it so that all of the counters in the environment in the game doesn't matter. On the one hand, kind of thinking like, I don't know why it kind of just goes against the whole thing, right? Like, it's like they just threw this. It was kind of like when I can't even speak straight. I can't even talk straight. Let me try and rephrase. Back in the day when we had all kinds of problems with guild versus guild bosses, being really difficult, we were looking for ways to delay and to increase our health and just to survive. Then they threw in the Crystal Phoenix to allow us to revive, and that killed the entire guild versus guild scene, because the whole thing back then was like whether or not you could survive the first hit and how well you could plan your attacks afterwards. Then out comes this card that gives you a free revive, and suddenly everything is just like crumbles. And then they come back with this like flat line counter, okay, which is the dumbest spell, like the dumbest counter in the world. All right, in the world of Corellas, to me anyways. I just feel like it's so dumb. And this is like, it's like heading that direction. Like, you introduce this passive ability that basically says, hey, like, it doesn't matter. I can always activate my skills, right? So it doesn't really matter. There's really nothing in the game that can do to stop it. And so then what's the point? Like, what's the point of everyone else going through like all of this trouble? To me, anyways, I'm not sure I like it. Like, it's just one of those things that might have unforeseen consequences to the health of the game that I just feel like isn't going to be great. So thanks for the information, Common Deep. I think that is very, very important to know. But I'm going to step up my soapbox right now. I just kind of feel like that skill, while it feels like it's extremely overpowered, I also feel like it's not great for the balance of the game. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to all the Fire Defenders tell me how the new deck impacts their teams. I mean, like, it's not like all the other decks haven't already killed GVG, but this one feels like it could really tip the balance of the game more than I think it intends. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now. Okay, so I think, let's see. So Bowman Zhang, what is the recommendation of Proving Ground store if you're looking ahead? Honestly, I think the one that I would recommend is going to be, I think, 3 events from now. If you take a look right now, you got lots of options, right? So if you are looking to get the Wave Warriors, this is going to be the last season to do so. But if you do, then that means you're not going to be able to craft some of these decks. And I kind of feel like, if anything, really the only one that I feel is good out of this particular season is going to be the Count. So the Devilish Duel Ultimate Form, I feel for the season is probably the best bet to go for. I'm not sure that I would ever go for the for this team here. And the Fire Ultimate Form, because it doesn't have boost, that mechanic is also a little outdated. So I'm not sure that it would be like my go-to. But the Devilish Duel is going to be the one that I would definitely want to go for. And beyond that, I suppose, if you really are still looking for something. I mean, like if you don't have a bounty hunter deck and you really want to go for it, that would be a choice. Wave Warriors maybe, but I don't really recommend it. And so I think the Devilish Duel, so I get the count or the other card, that's probably the ones I would go with. And so Martin, the question is like whether I can only use Dark Affinity. No, so like I think there's probably going to be, I probably need to explain this a little bit in I guess a separate video on how Dark Affinity or just Dual Affinity with damage boost works. So like in the situation here where I'm using a high performance unit area, I'm not using this for the dark card. I'm using this for the immortal boost, right? I'm using this because I can boost all immortal cards. And because I'm in a water commander event, ideally I have a water immortal card so that it will boost so that it will get boosted. And what I will be able to get is the Immortal Killer for this event applies to all Water Commander heroes. Now I'm going to want to put in other Water Commander cards. But because I don't have good Water Commander for Immortal, I can use Slayer instead. So I have a Water Slayer deck that has Immortal Killer bonus, and that gives me 900% attack damage, not damage boost. And so what I can do now is I can take this card, Apex Predators, get the boost from high performance area, and this will be my primary damage dealer. And I can then supplement it with other water cards to help me get water cards to get the water damage. But my main damage now is going to be the Apex Predators because my main booster is from high performance area. So hopefully this makes sense for people who are still trying to figure out how to use the dual affinity and like the boost and stuff like that. And the other thing is because high performance unit area doesn't really create enough gems for the power gem override to work, you want to throw in something else. So like honestly, you could do something like this. You could actually just kind of do like one of these cards in here and you'll be set. The only problem is you have to the only problem is you now have to worry about putting in fire and dark and water relics in order to power all of them up. That's why using dark would be a little bit easier because you only have to power up 2 different affinities rather than 3. So like I hope that makes sense. It's really like it doesn't matter what cards you use as long as you can power them up in the end with like the highest power water power gem. So it doesn't really matter what affinities you use. It just matters on like how much effort it's going to take for you to power them up. If we have more haste decks, I would use them, right? So that's why haste is really useful. Then that's why I recommended the Lost Kingdom Guardians. So anyways, so for this event, I think that it's going to require some thought from me to be able to be successful. Like I think I might do okay with my deck using this setup here, like 0 water commander. Maybe I'll throw in 1 in here. Like maybe I think maybe I don't need to use Aegea. Like I could probably throw in something just so that I can get some water commander bonus, right? Like something like doesn't matter. Like this one, for example, like anything, right? It probably doesn't really matter. But I think because like having some water commander gems in there is going to be significantly better than having none, right? Like the amount of damage I'll be able to deal with this compared to the previous one that didn't have any, I think it's going to be significant. So I think it's still important to at least keep 1 water commander hero on the team just so you can deal a little bit more damage. So that's probably what I'm gonna swap out various different cards. Like probably the best thing to do is to simply throw in my card, the Deep, right? So that's going to be the Arcane Killer Commander, and that's probably going to be this card because it has a 13 times commander boost. That's probably going to be my best bet, but I'm not sure how well I'll do. But that's probably what I'll try. So the Reaper, you get Isadora as a reward. Yeah, so for a seasonal reward, you can get Isadora. And so if you saved your Proving Ground store gems for that, you can. But if you already have like, you know, the missing card, like ultra rare card, then you wouldn't need to waste your coins on that. Yeah, so the Reaper, you're thinking about using the the ultra rare card from the Proving Ground store so that you can get it. I think you should wait. Honestly, like in terms of like the Proving Ground store usage, it's more useful to buy them like either at the event of or buy something from, you know, that's really useful that's already passed. Don't buy them ahead of time because you never know. Like you might not need it. That's the thing. You might not need it at all, and then you're gonna lose every opportunity to get something a little bit later, right? And so, in any case, I'm gonna go with this. I'll still buy the daily pack just to try, but I think, you know, in terms of the team itself, what I will say about the summary of team is I can't tell whether the team is good or not just because like the power gem spawning ability is a lot weaker than the previous season. Maybe we're spoiled by that, but really like in order to do really well, that kind of is needed with the boost and with like the power gem upgrades. So we'll see what happens. The passive ability for Unstoppable just seems a little bit. I'm worried. That's really all I'll say. Like I'm worried about that passive ability. Just like I think it tips the scale of the balance a little bit too much. But otherwise, it should make your experience really good. Just because you don't have to worry about anything anymore. Like if you use it, if there's who cares if there's going to be weaken or gem silenced or power gem silenced, like whatever, it doesn't really matter. You can just go ahead and activate your cards. So that might make your experience a little bit better, but we'll see what happens. And so I think, you know, that's probably all I have for this event. Let's take a look at the newsfeed. I don't think there's anything that was too surprising in the news feeds, right? So we have Treacherous Maeve, that's in the special, that's for the gems. We got the Deep and how do you get it, boys. Counter skill update. So decks are getting streamlined in this update. All event ultimate cards will now come with the event support. Oh yeah, so that's the change that they made, which I already called out. Another commander update. Solo's gonna have their health decrease a little bit. Okay, to make it more in line. Okay, so to increase the number of guild boss keys, enemies that drop guild keys and guild gift keys will appear more often. So good that we're gonna get more keys this time. And a maximum number of waves has been reduced, so you're not going to have to do 8 anymore. I think you're probably going to drop down to like 5 or something. And so that is going to be what to expect. So hopefully the bosses will be a little bit easier. Less waves to worry about in the Crusades. And that's going to be it. Anyways, sorry I couldn't pull the team this time, couldn't showcase it. So we'll see what happens. If I pull something, I'll have a video that follows this to showcase how it works. But until then, if you can build something like this, you're probably set. And if not, you have different ideas, please let me know, share them, and I will do my best to showcase how that works also. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you later next time. All right, bye now.